स्टडी IQ IAS, अब तैयारी हुई अफोर्डेबल।
Hello students, welcome to StudyIQ's initiative, the podcast. I am your host Dipansh Murjani. So get your juices flowing because it is time for the podcast of the day. All the episodes of the podcast will help you to revise all the important topics from your examination point of view. So all the new listeners out there can listen to our previous episodes not only on YouTube but also on all the audio streaming platforms like Spotify, Hubhopper, Apple Podcast, etc. Last episode of the podcast was all about the procedure how a bill becomes an act. In this episode of the podcast, we are going to discuss all the provisions related to money bill. Sir, first things first, can you give us a basic idea about money bill? And also, we are eager to understand constitutional provisions related to money bill.
Money bill is an instrument and bill which introduces and deals with the financial matters of government. Under Article of 110 of Indian Constitution deals with money bills. Money bills which are concerned with the financial matters like taxation, public expenditure, etc. According to Article 110, the money bill definition stands like this. If article states that a bill is deemed to be a money bill if it contains only and only provisions dealing with all or any of the following matters, which are number 1, the imposition, abolition, remission, alteration or regulation of any taxes. Number 2, the regulation of the borrowings of money by the Union government. Number 3, the custody of the Consolidated Fund of India or the Contingency Fund of India, the payment of monies into or the withdrawal of money from any such fund is also considered as a money bill. The appropriation of money out of the Consolidated Fund of India is also deemed to be a money bill. The declaration of any expenditure charged on the Consolidated Fund of India or increasing the amount of any such expenditure is also known as money bill. And likewise, the receipt of money on account of the Consolidated Fund of India or the public account of India or even the custody or issue of such money or the audit of the accounts of the union or state is also deemed to be a money bill.
Sir, what are the conditions when a bill is not deemed to be a money bill?
The bill is not to be deemed to be a money bill by the reason only that is provided for number 1, the imposition of fines or others pecuniary penalties mentioned in the bill will not be considered as a money bill. And secondly, if the bill is demanding the payment for fees for licenses or fees for services related to it is also not considered as a money bill. And thirdly, the imposition, abolition, remission, alteration or regulation of any tax done by any local authority or body for local purposes, the bill will also not deemed to be as money bill.
Sir, after understanding these provisions, we are keen to understand the features of money bill.
There are very unique features of money bill, from which the number 1 is decisions of a Speaker of Lok Sabha is final if any question arises whether a bill is a money bill or not. Such decision cannot be questioned in any court of law or in either the House of Parliament or even the President cannot question the judgment of Speaker. Whenever the Speaker endorses it as a money bill, when a money bill is transmitted to the Rajya Sabha and presented to the President for his assent. Money bill can only be introduced in Lok Sabha on the recommendations of the President. Money bill is also considered to be a government bill and so it can be introduced only by a minister. Rajya Sabha cannot reject or amend a money bill. Rajya Sabha can only make the recommendations to Lok Sabha. That is why when Rajya Sabha has to return the bill to Lok Sabha within 14 days or otherwise if Rajya Sabha fails to return that bill in Lok Sabha within 14 days, the bill is deemed to be passed by both the houses. When a money bill is presented to the President, he may either give his assent to the bill or withhold his assent to the bill. However, President cannot return the bill for reconsideration of the Houses. Normally, the President gives his assent to a money bill as it is introduced in a parliament with his prior permission.
Sir, can you throw some light on differences between ordinary bill and money bill?
The difference between ordinary bill and money bill I would like to highlight with some pointers. The first point is that ordinary bill can be introduced either in the Lok Sabha or also in the Rajya Sabha. However, money bill can only be introduced in Lok Sabha and not in the Rajya Sabha. In ordinary bill, it can be introduced either by a minister or by a private member also. However, in the case of money bill, it can only be introduced by minister or ministry concerned to the government. In the case of ordinary bill, it is also introduced without the recommendations of the president. However, this is not the case in money bill because money bill is introduced only on the prior recommendations of the president. And the fourth point of difference is that the ordinary bill can be amended or rejected by Rajya Sabha. Hence, Rajya Sabha have equal powers at par with Lok Sabha in case of ordinary bill. However, in money bill, Rajya Sabha cannot amend or reject the money bill. In fact, the Rajya Sabha should return the bill with or without recommendations, which may be accepted or rejected by the Lok Sabha. The next difference between both the bills is that ordinary bill can be detained by Rajya Sabha for a maximum period of 6 months. However, in the case of money bill, it can be detained by Rajya Sabha for a maximum period of 14 days only. In case of ordinary bill, it does not require the certification of speaker when it is transmitted to the Rajya Sabha. However, in case of money bill, it requires the certification of the speaker when it is transferred to the Rajya Sabha. In case of ordinary bill, it is sent to the President's assent only after being approved by both the houses. However, in case of money bill, it is sent to the President's assent even if it is approved by only Lok Sabha. In case of ordinary bill, its defeat in the Lok Sabha may lead to the resignation of the government if it is introduced by a minister. However, this fall of government in Lok Sabha in case of ordinary bill is conditional. But in the case of money bill's defeat in Lok Sabha leads to the resignation of the whole government.
Sir, with respect to money bill, we have seen that Speaker of Lok Sabha has some exclusive powers. So are there some issues related to money bill?
Article 110 subsection 1 grants to the Speaker of Lok Sabha the authenticity to certify a draft law as a money bill, and his decision cannot be questioned and is also beyond judicial review. Rajya Sabha has very limited powers and role with respect to money bill. This makes Speaker a very powerful institution in Lok Sabha, and immunity from judicial scrutiny would effectively allow the government to elude the Rajya Sabha's constitutional checks by simply having the Speaker classify a draft law as a money bill. The misuse of Article 110 to bypass the oversight and scrutiny of Rajya Sabha, Aadhaar Act labelled as money bill by Speaker. We will try to understand with an example. Recently, Finance Act 2017 not only abolished some of the tribunals, however, also altogether repealed the standard provided in different statute which governed their functioning and diverse these powers to the executive. To use money bill as a means to nullify the upper house democratic role in making substantive legislations undermines the constitutional form which has been dreamed by our constitutional makers.
Sir, can you suggest some way forwards which may serve as solutions to these issues?
Time and again, Supreme Court have dealt the issue of Speaker's discretionary power and the ambit from which Speaker's decision is above judicial review. This is to be contested and can be corrected in the coming course. The Lok Sabha can either accept or reject all or any of the recommendations of the Rajya Sabha. But in case of rejection, Lok Sabha should have mentioned the particular pinpointed reason for rejecting the recommendations. Like the Britain model of non-party member as a speaker, so that the misuse of power for political gains could be curbed. This practice of non-partisan speaker should be adopted in India. Exploring the possibility of constituting a special committee to ascertain whether a bill becomes a money bill or not. Because committee involved in making any bill money bill, the opposition's role will be increased in the decision making process, and this will ultimately strengthen the democratic processes in the parliament.
Sir, thank you for giving us the information. Dear listeners, it is time to wrap up this episode of the podcast. In the next episode, we will discuss another topic, so stay connected with Study IQ and keep studying. You can listen to Study IQ Presents the podcast on all the audio streaming platforms like Spotify, Hubhopper, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Cuckoo FM, etc. Links are pinned in the comments section below. Thank you.